welcome to Silverstone for the final weekend in the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. And joining me today is Lyndsay. Lyndsay, we've missed you for a couple of races. We've got the B-class cars going out. Lots happening in the Bs this year, particularly this race. There's a lot of new faces.
There is over 50% of the grid alone for the last couple of weekends, which unfortunately I've had to follow and not attend at due to this little one coming along nicely. Yes, over 50% of the grid is new names, so I had to come back for the final just to introduce myself, see how they're getting on, and see how my guys go.
Yeah, as you say, a lot of new faces, and you talked about your news as well.
Yeah.
We'll come to that in a second. A lot of new faces out there, so it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt to the Mazda racing. And again, congratulations, Lyndsay, on your news as well.
Thank you. But it does mean this fabulous man is back looking after these guys for my final weekend. I couldn't have anyone else better to do it. So
Thank you, Lyndsay. With that, it's over to the commentary team to take you through the first of this weekend's B races.
Thanks, guys. Well, let's take a look then at how the grid lines up for our first B race of the day. It's the number 29 car of Adam Craig on row 1 with Adam Tyler alongside him. Owen Mills and Bill Taylor share the second row ahead of Bruce Robinson and Graham Rumsey. Then Alan Hawkins and Christopher Ginn on row 4. Rounding out the top 10, Callum Greatrex and Luke Souch with Tom Mallett and Richard Wotton on row 6. Row 7 for Cian Donaldson and 57 Ollie Jenkins. Then Christian Dan and Ivan Leary. Ian Whitek, Elliot Han, Thomas Jenkins and Michael Pearce rounding out the top 20. As ever, it's all about those top 5 promotional spots that the drivers will be fighting for, and it's a more competitive grid than ever this weekend, with the slipstream set to keep everybody very closely bunched together, so the fight for those promotional spots could be even more intense than we've grown accustomed to seeing earlier this year. The red light's on then for the first time this weekend. We're away and racing in Group B for the Mazda MX-5 Championship, and it's a good start made by Adam Craig from the outside of row 1. On board with Bruce Robinson on the inside is Graham Rumsey there as they run wheel to wheel down to the first corner, and Alan Hawkins getting a run on the pair of them behind, and they go 3 abreast into the first corner with Rumsey coming out on top. Ahead of the field though, side by side, that's Bill Taylor who's come through to the race lead, so Craig down to second already, and diving up the inside line there, that's Bruce Robinson I think trying to gain some ground in the number 90 car. Graham Rumsey now is off the road, so having gained some ground at the first corner, he might be about to lose it, but a brilliant start from Bill Taylor, 4th on the grid, gets himself ahead of the pole sitter then. Everyone diving for the apex there through the right-hander onto the back straight. Some very sideways antics in the midfield there. Side by side though, not for the last time probably, between the race leaders. Adam Craig goes to the inside of Bill Taylor down the hanger straight. And the two of them leaving each other just enough room for the time being. Not quite wing mirror bashing at the moment, but Craig I think is going to go through, and indeed he does. On brakes into Stone Corner. Further back, lots of activity as ever. Luke Souch there, the 291 car, ahead for the time being, at least of Christian Dan. He did start ahead of him actually. It was a good qualifying effort from Luke, just on the fringes of the top 10. Adam Craig with a big lock-up pair at the front of the field, but he's trying his best to escape from the rest of the chasing back, and there is the bulk of it. 3 and 4 wide down into Vale Corner. On board with Ashley Heath now, who's about halfway down the order, I think, maybe just into the second half of the field, but looking to try and make some progress. In theory, it looks as though it's quite easy to overtake around here because you've got the slipstream, it's a nice wide circuit, but the trouble is that the other drivers out there tend to fill most of that track, so it's not actually always that easy to find a way past. Owen Mills, though, trying to find a way through. He's going for second place here up the inside of Bill Taylor and will move through into Village Corner. So Owen Mills, with the novice cross on the back of his car, moves himself 1 step further up the podium, 1 step further up the promotion spots as well, crucially. I think that's Bruce Robinson now behind him. Yes, it is the orange and white number 90 car. We're on board with Bruce now, who tries to pick up this slipstream down the hanger straight, up through the gears, down towards the fastest part of the circuit. The slipstream starts to gather everyone together, and Owen Mills going for the race lead now, the inside of Adam Craig. You just can't escape out in front. It doesn't matter how quick you are, the slipstream will keep everyone else right on your tail and possibly give them the opportunity to move ahead, which is exactly what Owen Mills has done. So that's our 3rd different leader in the first 1.5 laps or so. Adam Craig will try and fight back if he can though, down onto the brakes into Vale. In the end, the orange 22 car will stay in front just about, but not for the want of trying on the part of Adam Craig, who's been there or thereabouts all year. We've seen him at the front end of these B races quite often in 2019. One of those drivers that seems to go between the A and B grid over most weekends. Looks like they've come It'll be another one where he, at least in his first race, is able to get promotion. He's looking for a race win though, goes from inside into Abbey Corner. This is a brave part of the circuit to run side by side through, and Owen Mills is not backing out. He will retain the race lead, and actually it's Craig that slows himself down, so Bill Taylor gets a run. Bruce Robinson watching this all unfold in front of him, thinking, right, how do I play this to my advantage? Well, he dives to the inside of Bill Taylor, who at the very last moment saw him coming, and thank goodness he did, because it looked for a second there like the two of them were going to make contact. But in leaving the door open, Taylor also now loses momentum and loses another position now, coming out onto the back straight. That was the number 80 car going ahead of him, of Adam Tyler. He started up on the front row, but has rather slipped backwards in the early stages. So, lively stuff here in the early exchanges, right at the front of the pack, as it is throughout most of the field. And still, this lead battle is raging on. Adam Craig now goes to the outside of Owen Mills. Bruce Robinson has a look to the inside. He backs out of it. It's side by side between the leading two. And is there room on the outside? Just about. So Craig now buys himself a ticket to the inside line at Vale and might be about to go back into the race lead. Don't take anything for granted in this championship though, but no, he does get late enough on the brakes, and it's Robinson that's way out wide going through Vale. Bill Taylor now starting to slip backwards. That's Callum Greatrex going through. Callum Greatrex started ninth, so he's made some good ground up the order, and Owen Mills runs way wide through Club Corner, and again on the exit, and there's a problem for Owen Mills' car. Oh, what a shame for Owen. That was going really quite well, but something seems to have broken on the car. Is it a puncture, front left puncture maybe? I'm not quite sure what it is, but he's slowing down, and I fear is on his way to retirement, so he's looking good for a promotion position for him in this race. That now, of course, will not happen. That does, though, bring several other drivers into play for those promotional spots. The black and yellow car is Richard Wootton. He's the next driver to dive bomb Bill Taylor, who's been roughed up a bit in these last few laps. Alan Hawkins is also joining in the Jigsaw car, car 722. And Bruce Robinson sends it up the inside of Adam Tyler there. That was an ambitious manoeuvre, it must be said, and he is, as I sort of expected, quite slow on the exit of the corner, so Tyler goes back through, and Callum Greatrex, who continues this meteoric progress to the front of the field, and keep an eye on Graham Rumsey, who gets a run on both of them, goes to the inside of both of them, and could overtake both of them into Stowe Corner. He's certainly ahead of Greatrex. He then dives back up the inside of Robinson, and Rumsey, so Rumsey gained 2, and now might lose 2 again as they go through Stowe Corner. It's all well and good having that speed down the straight, but then if you're dive bombed under braking, if you're not confident enough under braking, you're just going to lose any ground you just gained up. The 3 abreast almost again as Robinson goes back up the inside, and for the time being it's Greatrex, Robinson, Rumsey with Bill Taylor next in line behind them, but he might be out to lose another place now to Richard Wootton. Fantastic racing here though. This is very much what we anticipated this weekend from the Silverstone International circuit. It's wide open, it's fast, you can get the slipstream, but there are lots of big braking points where you can outbrake people. Oh, contact between Rumsey and Robinson, and they both spin in front of the pack. Let's hope everyone misses them. It looks like they will. There's the replay of the moment from on board with Bruce Robinson as he turned in and Graham Rumsey was on the inside, and thankfully they both avoid getting collected. That could have been an awful lot worse. And they will both bounce their way back on the road. There was another car I think that may have spun in avoidance possibly. Bill Taylor bounces his way back on as well, but that was scary stuff. It will no doubt have jumbled up the order now and brought a few other drivers maybe into the fray. Richard Wootton picked his way through that quite nicely. There, the 57 car, that's Ollie Jenkins from 14th on the grid, and he's in about 6th or 7th position now. 7th, I think, as he goes down the Hanger Straight, so he's definitely benefited from all of that. Just sort of split the pack a bit now, though, so we need to give it another couple of laps before the slipstream starts to bunch everyone else together. Christian Dan, though, has some pretty close company there from the 56 car behind him as they go through Stowe. That's Thomas Jenkins. So, well, if you thought Chris Jenkins was making some, Ollie Jenkins, excuse me, I'll get it right in a moment. If you thought he was making progress from 14th, well, Thomas started 19th and is almost with him. So, lots of good recovery drives here after some slightly lacklustre qualifying efforts. Lots of different lines being attempted into Vale as well. Number 14 car there is Elliot Han, the yellow machine. Right behind him, number 70, that's Michael Pearce. And these drivers trying to fight their way into the top 10 and then sort of maybe put themselves into contention for a promotional spot in the race after. Luke Souch goes through. Must apologise to Luke as well. Apparently I've been getting his name wrong all year. I do love it when drivers leave it to the last race of the season to remind me of that, but Luke Souch, who is no slouch, it must be said, he's been pretty quick this weekend in particular, and he's getting away now from this group behind. He's in the grey and yellow car, the blue and fluorescent yellow number 53 behind that you really can't miss, can you, in a crowd? That's Jonathan Field's end. And he's trying to give chase but can't quite keep up with Luke at the moment, so they head out onto the hanger straight. Big donut down the side of the 53 car as well, so clearly Jonathan's been getting pretty cosy with some of the other drivers out there in the early stages. Bruce Robinson's been pretty cosy with most of them as well. He's had a few touchy-feely moments. He's trying to fight back now after the latest one up at Abbey Corner. That was one nice overtake made on Christopher Ginn there going into the right-hander at Stowe. This battle's still raging on behind as well. So, I don't think anyone's quite close enough to have a go on the brakes here into Vale, although a mistake there from Elliott Hand may just leave the door open on the exit of this sequence for Michael Pearce. Michael's got his hands full from the car behind him as well. He does get a good run through club though. On board with Ashley Heath now, looking back at Jake Stiles, number 2 car. Then Graham Rumsey, who of course is recovering from that spin after the contact he had with Robinson. So although he was on the inside, so in a way was dishing it out, he actually is the one that came off worse really. So the two of them that shared the third row, they got even closer there going through the first corner, and neither of them particularly benefited. On board with Robinson, hand out to the cockpit for some reason, not entirely sure what message he was trying to pass on, but there you go. Tom Jenkins now I think is the next man in the firing line here. He's got him in his sights going down the back straight, and will try to use that slipstream if he can, and there's contact there, and oh, that was very, very close to being another multi-car incident at the top of the shot. And who was that then that went around? Ivan Leary, I think, was the one that got tagged into a spin. Luke Souch did a good job to avoid them, and so did several others behind. It's been a pretty bruising encounter, this one so far, with quite a lot of paint being traded there by drivers in the midfield in particular. Well, actually, not just the midfield. I mean, Robinson and Rumsey were scrapping inside the top 5 when they tangled. So the next battle is breaking out. Alan Hawkins and Richard Button, who have got company from Ollie Jenkins behind them now as well. Just lost touch with the absolute front runners for the time being. They're still in contention though for promotional spots if they play their cards right. Bill Taylor likewise as he dices away with Callum Greatrex. But Adam Craig is your race leader. This is the fight for third then. Taylor occupying third place at the moment. Greatrex having started 9th on the grid, not content with just getting himself into the top 5. He wants to get himself onto the podium if he can. And why wouldn't he? He looks every bit as quick at the moment as Bill Taylor. Down the hill. Taylor runs a bit wide. Greatrex takes a nice tight line though over the apex curb onto the hanger straight. There you can see the lead that Adam Craig has pulled out now over Adam Tyler, who is 2nd position. Third place for Taylor, excuse me. 4th place Greatrex, and 5th Alan Hawkins. So Hawkins occupying the final promotional spot at the moment, with the black and yellow car of Richard Wootton trying to get away from him. Although it looked almost as if they were working with each other there as they came down the hanger straight. So they're trying to catch the cars in front, and then maybe both of them can make it through into a promotional spot. At least temporarily, are quite happy to work with other drivers in this championship because it can be mutually beneficial. The trouble is that getting that message across to them that you want to work with them is not always that easy, but they certainly seem to be working in tandem at the moment. 2 cars working together should be quicker than 1 car on its own or a group of cars dicing amongst themselves. Sideways in the background, that's Bruce Robinson and Thomas Jenkins battling away, I think, for a position just the fringes of the top 5. Alan Hawkins in the jigsaw car, well, if he and Richard Wootton are working together, it's working, isn't it? Because they're catching the Bill Taylor pairing in front, Bill Taylor and Callum Greatrex. So 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th getting themselves together, and that's when things start getting really interesting, because one of those drivers won't make it through in a promotional spot. And Alan Hawkins, who has that final promotional spot in 5th position, nearly threw it away then, coming out onto the hanger straight because he was very sideways, went very wide. In the background, Bruce Robinson and Tom Jenkins are having one hell of a scrap. They were side by side again there with, I think, no, it's not the recovering Owen Mills. It looked as though Owen was pulling into retirement, but no, he has pulled into the pit lane. Owen Mills. There's another orange car, confusing me. Orange, a popular colour, it would seem, in the Mazda MX-5 Championship, but then there are enough cars out there, 33 just in the B grid alone, that there are plenty of cars of every colour out there, something to take your fancy regardless of what your taste in colour is. Some very, very fetching liveries, though. I mentioned the Alan Hawkins one quite regularly. You can see why. I mean, that's a really well-prepared car, that 722 car. And up close even more so. So we've got a few witness marks from earlier skirmishes in the season. But most cars, I think, at this stage of the year, you can say that about. Into the braking zone they come, and Wootton not yet able to take advantage of the moment from Hawkins. That was nearly a lap ago now, but Hawkins is still not making friends with the apexes, so he looks a bit wayward in the 722 car, it must be said. Just making doubly sure that our attention is attracted towards that very well-prepared car. Wootton this time is the one that has a wobble going into the right-hander though, so actually he drops back now and may be in danger of losing the toe. Ollie Jenkins trying to get the toe, trying to catch up to this group if he can. Into the braking zone, then Hawkins looks to the inside. This is the move for 4th position, and he goes through and makes that look very easy. So completely ignore what I said about it looking like Alan Hawkins was driving a bit ragged, because clearly that's working. It's allowed him to overhaul Callum Greatrex now. So he's into 4th. Can he get himself onto the podium? And with each position that he gains, he makes himself more secure in a promotion spot as well. That helps as well. Greatrex running wide behind him, so Greatrex will not be able to retaliate for the time being. Through they come then. Interested onlookers watching on from the pit wall as Bill Taylor makes a move for 2nd place now, looks to the inside of Adam Tyler and again makes that look relatively easy. That's the effect of the slipstream for you on a straight of that length. A good exit from Club Corner, a nice toe. Really is a case of mirror signal manoeuvre when you make one of those overtakes, but this one is not going to be quite as simple because Tyler's fighting back up the inside of Taylor. That prizes the door open for the ever opportunistic Alan Hawkins to get alongside, and they're going to run wheel to wheel down into the right-hander at the bottom of the hill. This is where Hawkins had a moment a couple of laps ago though, but he's not really close enough to dive bomb on the inside line and take the place away. So actually it all works out as it was, but Bill Taylor's not satisfied with that. He's fighting back again and gets himself once more alongside Adam Tyler for 2nd place and goes back through. It's like they get to a certain point within the race and then they either get bored or they think, right, we've had enough of following the leader now, it's time to race. And even drivers who are fairly secure in a promotion spot, it never fails to amaze me how hard they're willing to race for these positions. Of course, with the inclusion of Richard Wootton in this group, that means that one of these 5 drivers at least will not get through into an A race, and it could be that none of them do if they keep carrying on like this, because that was a little bit of contact there, I think, from Adam Tyler to Bill Taylor. It holds them both up, and Alan Hawkins sees the chance to go straight up the inside of both of them and go from 4th to 2nd. Callum Greatrex now gets a run. Richard Wootton is coming as well, and it might be Adam Tyler that gets muscled down here. Down to the 1st corner they go, into the final 3rd of the race, and Bill Taylor, never backwards in coming forwards. As soon as he loses a position, seems immediately to turn his attention to getting it back, and he does so. He goes back ahead of Hawkins now for 2nd place, and now it's Alan that's on the outside line going into Village. Tyler to the inside, stuck in the middle is Bill Taylor. This won't work surely. Taylor bails out of it. Hawkins sails straight on and gets sideways, saves it, but he's lost all of those positions. He loses his momentum, and even the 57 car of Jenkins comes through, Oliver Jenkins that is. So now it's Greatrex side by side with Tyler for 2nd. Tyler runs out wide, they're 3 abreast again, and this time there's more contact. Tyler's on the grass. Richard Wootton was involved in that, and well, dearie me. Well, Tyler is still bouncing his way down the grass. He's looking to try and find his way back on the road, and he still can't do it. The grass is still quite damp, I think, after some overnight and early morning rain, and now finally gets himself back on the road, but well outside of that all-important top 5. So that's worked out then with Greatrex 2nd, Wootton 3rd. Somehow, out of all of that, Ollie Jenkins there, the white, red and 57, has come into 4th position, and who got the final transfer spot? Was it Alan Hawkins or was it Bill Taylor? Let's see, in the background it's Hawkins. And in fact, into the pit lane, I think was coming Taylor. Wootton is sideways as well, and they have sustained a little bit of a war wound from that contact at the top end of the hanger straight. You could sort of see that coming though, couldn't you really? You can only run 3x3 through so many corners before eventually a bit of contact is made, and because they were so close together, it was always likely to involve more than just 2 cars. So quite a few more witness marks now on some of these cars towards the front of the field. They are not right at the front of the field though, because don't forget that Adam Craig is, I was going to say, loving seeing this in his mirrors because he's pulling away, but he's pulled away so far he probably can't see them in his mirrors now, but he's a long way in front of this 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th place scrap. As things stand, all 4 of these drivers now would get themselves into a promotion spot. Of course, it was Tyler that was the big loser there, really. So back onto the hanger straight they go again. And here comes the move from Wootton, looking for second place now, trying to get himself ahead of Callum Greatrex. The Welshman, I don't think there's much he can do to fend him off here. Wootton had the slipstream, he's already pretty much ahead, I think, before they hit the brakes. And he's even able to try and get back over to the racing line there. He didn't have to defend the position into Stowe. He didn't quite make it stick though, and he's run a bit wide on the exit, so Greatrex comes back at him. And just as things threaten to calm down here amongst these four, they're side by side again. So this will bring Jenkins and Hawkins back into play. Wootton's sideways, but does now manage to seal the deal. So he's into second place, Greatrex third, pushing him almost through club corner. Back along the pit straight once again, heading into the final lap though, I would imagine this time. There's not long left on the clock, we may squeeze another one in after this, but the checkered flag I think might be getting readied. And what order are they going to finish in? Will they all get to the flag? That's the other question. Oh, Jenkins slicing and dicing his way through. I think Hawkins had got past him and then he ran wide at Abbey, so Jenkins got back ahead of him and now tries his luck on the inside of Callum Greatrex and goes through. Nicely done from Tom Jenkins there. Sorry, from Ollie Jenkins. Never fails to confuse a commentator, that, having siblings or family members on the grid together, even if they are in two completely different coloured cars. But there you go. So Ollie Jenkins has gone through into third place now. That's allowed Richard Wootton to pull away. The black car at the front of this shot now is a back marker, so that car going a lap down, which I believe is Anthony Pettigrew, possibly the 85 car. But yeah, Wootton all of a sudden really has pulled away from them. Hawkins now into third, so that's the order I gave you, what, 5 seconds ago, is already out of date. With Hawkins third, Jenkins, Oliver Jenkins fourth, and Callum Greatrex fifth. Adam Craig, though, out of the final corner, now goes on to the final lap, so there was time for one more to be squeezed in. So it will be a 15-lap race then for the first B race of the weekend. And if you ask Adam Craig, he'll probably tell you it was a pretty lively first few laps, but after that got a bit boring. That won't be a story you hear all that much through the paddock after this race, because I think everybody else out there has been involved in a right ding-dong, but Adam Craig able to pull away out in front, and that really is one of the keys to racing here at Silverstone. It's almost impossible to escape, but only almost impossible. The one chance you've got to escape out front is if they all start falling over each other behind, and that is the exact definition of what they did behind him, and he was able to build out a couple of seconds of margin, and that just grew and grew and grew as every lap went by, and it started to get closer and closer and more frenetic behind him. Another car a lap down now, which looks to be Bill Taylor. Robert Bond who put a lap down at the start of the race, and 3 drivers will finish 1 lap down. But a few cars have headed into the pit lane. Owen Mills earlier on, Sam Jarvis is non-finisher, and Tom Mallet as well. So 3 non-finishers, but that means 30 of the starters will get to the end, and they'll be headed by Adam Craig, who makes his way down into the final sequence of corners for the final time. And the man who had 1 B race victory coming into this weekend is about to take his 2nd of the year. He comes out of the final corner, and Adam Craig wins race 1B here at Silverstone. He missed out on most of the fun, but he probably preferred it that way, in all honesty. It's a very comfortable winning margin. It's going to be well over 15 seconds, I think, before anybody else appears. Well, here is confirmation of that result. Then it was 16.3 seconds in the end, the winning margin. Craig to Wootton in second. Alan Hawkins was third, then Ollie Jenkins and Callum Greatrex. Then it was Christian Dan, Tom Jenkins, Bruce Robinson was given a 7-second penalty after that contact that he had earlier on, ahead of Christopher Ginn and Luke Souch, who managed to retain a top 10 position. Then it was Graham Rumsey and Elliot Han, Ian Whitick and Cian Donaldson, whilst Jonathan Fieldsend rounded out the top 15 and was the 4th of the Masters drivers home. There are our retirements: Tom Mallet, Sam Jarvis and Owen Mills. A great race though, and a dominant victory for Adam Craig.